To get that same value or that same graph out that I just got in the last video, what I'm gonna have you do is make a table. So we've got sine and the inverse sine. And then we've got, for sine, our inputs are theta. Our output is the sine of the angle, sine of theta. For arcsine, the input is a real number between -1 and 1, and its output is an angle, okay, between -pi/2 and pi/2. So let's say our angle is -pi/2. The sine value at -pi/2, if you look in your unit circle, is -1. So if the input into the arcsine is -1, this reads, so what my output here would be arcsine of -1. So what this says is what angle has a sine value of -1? And we know that that is -pi/2. So let's try another one. Let's do -pi/4. So the sine value at -pi/4 is -2/2. If I input -2/2 into the arcsine, it'll give me back out a value of -pi/4. Essentially, whatever was, you consider this x over here and this y, whatever was x and y gets switched over here. Let's continue. If the angle is 0, the height value is 0. So if you input 0, this says what angle has a height value of 0, and that's 0 radians. Let's try pi/4. Let's do it in a different color so we keep our things consistent here. I guess I will do the whole table for you. So the sine value at pi/4 is √2/2. And if you were to plug √2/2 into the arcsine, it'll give you a value of pi/4 of 45 degrees. Okay, the last one, at pi/2, the sine value is 1. So if we input 1, we get an angle of pi/2 out. These guys over here, if you graph them, okay, so we make a little, our inputs are our x, our outputs are our angles, which is the arcsine of x. So we go from -1 to +1, those are our inputs, and our output values are going to go from -pi/2 to pi/2. So at -1, I'm at -pi/2. At -√2/2, which is like 0.7 roughly, okay, I'm down here at -pi/4, so it's right about here. So this is going to come up like this, and then it's going to come back like this if I plot those other values in there. 0, 0 is on our graph. It almost looks like a straight line, but it's not quite. So I'm trying to give it this look that it's not straight there, because it isn't. But I got these values. These are the x and the y values. The x and the y, x, y, so on and so forth. If I plot those, I also get what the arcsine function looks like.